Did you know that the town of Silent Hill was actually based on a real town in Pennsylvania named Centralia? I mean, it's not true. But did you know that people keep saying that? I always find the real-world inspirations behind fictional places so intriguing. It's cool to see how places like Los Santos took inspiration from LA without flat out trying to recreate a real-world place one-to-one. But something I find even more interesting is how misinformation has managed to permeate the Silent Hill fandom so deeply to the point where no one seems to really know what's right or wrong anymore about the fictional town's real-world inspiration. Well, lucky for you, that's what you've got me for. I've thoroughly combed through YouTube travel videos, misguided articles, personal blog posts, Reddit posts, and Twitter threads. That's threads on Twitter, not Twitter and threads, to get to the bottom of the misinformation campaign surrounding Silent Hill and its connection to Centralia, Pennsylvania. Can you believe that I have a journalism degree and this is the type of investigative reporting I do? My mother is very proud. So now that Silent Hill is back in the public eye following the release of the Silent Hill 2 remake, people have started talking about its connection to Centralia again to capitalize on that sweet, sweet relevant SEO cache. But the relationship between the two isn't as cut and dry as videos titled like "The Truth Behind the Real Silent Hill" would have you believe. Centralia, the real Silent Hill. Silent Hill's creepy real-life inspiration. Gone sexual? Wait, that one's not a joke. That's just what Silent Hill 2 is about. As a result, a lot of people seem to think that Silent Hill is based on the town of Centralia. Centralia is a ghost town about 115 miles northwest of Philadelphia. And at first glance, it's pretty easy to see how the two connect from a visual and like a vibes perspective. See, back in 1962, Centralia was a small coal mining town until a devastating fire started after the city council decided that the best way to clear out one of its landfills was to burn it. Unbeknownst to everyone, the trash fire ignited the coal reserves underneath the town, causing extreme ecological damage and filling the air with toxic fumes from the fires, making the town uninhabitable to the point where the government had to step in to kick everyone out. There's not a whole lot left of the town that remains standing today, save for a church, a junkyard, and a handful of boarded up houses. But the majority of the original structures are just gone. You can see in this clip here from a haunted location travel vlogger, fuck, I wish that were my job, just how much nothing is left when looking up the main street of the town. The coal mine fire is where the connection to Silent Hill really starts to shine. Although the fire was likely started in 1962, it's still burning underground to this day. There are sinkholes all over Centralia due to the damage caused by the fire, and white, wispy smoke can often be seen pouring out of them as a product of the fire. It gives this eerie aura to the town, which is further enhanced by the harrowing story of what happened there, and the fact that any buildings still standing are all boarded up. With the perpetual fog, rundown aesthetic, and being labeled as a ghost town, Centralia is very Silent Hill, so I can see where people are coming from when they start to connect the two. When the first few Silent Hill games came out, there were a handful of conversations happening connecting Centralia to Silent Hill. Or so claims this random guy on Reddit who kind of half remembers an article somewhere maybe in the official PlayStation magazine about it. I did a lot of research based on this single comment, reading old magazines, pouring through early 2000s forum discussions, but I couldn't find a single thing to back this up. I'm not calling this person a liar, I'm just saying that I couldn't find anything. That hardly matters though, because leading up to the release of the first Silent Hill film adaptation in 2006, screenwriter Roger Avary cited the town as inspiration for his interpretation of it. I'd never seen the Silent Hill movie up until I started researching this video. Don't watch it, it's bad. Sorry, Roger. But the Centralia connection isn't exactly subtle. They talk about coal fires burning under the town for decades, like 4 times. It's really clear what they were going for.
No. Actually, she was heading for this place, Silent Hill. How do I get there?
You don't. Town's closed down because of the coal fire still burning underground. You know? Breathe enough of them fumes, oh, bound to kill you.
You like hauling skeletons out of your family closet?
No. Not all the time, but we're driving on top of them right now. Coal fire's still burning underneath.
As far as a backstory for an adaptation of Silent Hill goes, I actually kind of think it's cool, especially since Avary's family has a connection to the story of the fires. And to clarify something about my research here, I didn't find the specific place where Roger Avary first said that he was inspired by Centralia. All of the articles that mention the inspiration just say that he said that he was inspired by it, but they don't cite their source. Most articles link back to this small feature that, again, just says that he said it without any other details. He's since talked about it a fair amount on Twitter, but I just wanted to be upfront about my research since I'm not a huge fan of when an article source is just trust me, bro. If anyone happens to know where Avary first said this, please let me know in the comments. I spent way too long trying to find it. So the problem here is that the backstory for the film has been attributed to the backstory of the games. As I mentioned at the top of this video, the idea that Centralia inspired Silent Hill's inception is a common piece of misinformation that gets shared with surprising frequency. In fact, there are a handful of details from the lore of Silent Hill's movies that get confused for canonical lore for the games, like the idea that it's not snow in Silent Hill 1 that's falling from the sky, it's ash. But that's from the movie, not the game. There's no other way to put this. Centralia had nothing to do with the development of the original Silent Hill games. And that's been stated a lot by people from Team Silent over the years, but Masahiro Ito put it very clearly when asked for the 10,000th time in 2022 when he tweeted, "Many people still claim that the town of the Silent Hill 1, not the film, but the original game, was inspired by Centralia, and they boast the headcanon is the canon." Despite the clarification from Ito though, there are still plenty of people who just don't believe him for whatever reason. Maybe he's pretending that he didn't know about Centralia to make it seem like the team was more original than they were. So what did Team Silent have to say about the game's real-world inspirations when asked by PSM in 1999? In this game, the modern horror novel atmosphere was the hook, so we decided to choose a small US town for the setting. Of course, Silent Hill really does not exist, and we have not allocated a certain place or time in the game. We deliberately did not use an actual place, since it might cause inconsistency with the real thing. However, with the name Silent Hill, we got the hint from a real place in Japan. You know, it's interesting that Centralia gets cited so often as the real-life place that inspired Silent Hill, but here we have Team Silent mentioning that there's a real place named Silent Hill in Japan that no one ever comments on. I think the reason for that is because it's actually kind of tricky to understand for non-Japanese speakers. The place mentioned in the PSM interview is called Shizuoka, which is a city and prefecture in Japan. Because of the way that the Japanese language works, Shizuoka doesn't translate directly to anything in English. It's just the proper noun name of the city, in the same way that, I don't know, Alabama doesn't translate to anything, that's just what it's called. When writing Shizuoka, however, you'd use two kanji characters, Shizu meaning still, calm, or silent, and Oka meaning hill. So there's not actually a place called Silent Hill in Japan, literally, but there also kind of is, which makes it a little confusing. All that said, like it's mentioned in the interview, Silent Hill isn't inspired by Shizuoka as a place. You can see here it's just a very modern city. But the town's name comes from the characters used in writing Shizuoka. Isn't language kind of fun? In the same year, the official PlayStation magazine, which is different from PSM, it's confusing, I know, also asked about the real-world inspirations, and Keiichiro Toyama said, "On the way back from E3, we set aside a little extra time to go to Chicago to check out some things and take some pictures. Silent Hill is supposed to be a water resort, so we looked at some areas close to the lake for inspiration. Next time, we'll set the game in Jamaica." Ha! Pretty good joke, Toyama. On top of all of that, in 2019, Roger Avary tweeted this: "For what it's worth, I worked closely with Akira Yamaoka, who enthusiastically approved my Centralia background story for the movie. In Japan, there is a long embrace acceptance and expectation that an anime will be different than the manga. The same ethic applied here." So either every single person who's had any sort of relationship to Silent Hill is lying, or, as Masahiro Ito put it, Team Silent didn't know about such a town at all back then. I'm inclined to believe the guy who's actually worked on the game over random people trying to tell him he's wrong in his Twitter mentions. So there you go. Centralia is an interesting place that definitely feels like it has some circumstantial connections to the Silent Hill series, but other than how it inspired the horrifically boring film adaptation and the overall vibes of the town, there aren't any direct connections between the two. I can forgive anyone who is led to believe that Silent Hill was inspired by Centralia thanks to the ocean of misinformation there is surrounding it, especially the stuff published by otherwise normally credible sources. But now you know, and we can all stop clicking on those videos about the real-life horror story that inspired Silent Hill. Especially since, like, nothing scary happened there, no one died, everyone just had to move. If anything, it's kind of just a bummer story about climate disasters. But hey, that's actually a lot scarier than ghosts and sexy nurses or whatever the hell is going on in Silent Hill. Listen, I don't even really know what I'm talking about anymore. Don't burn your trash. Like and subscribe.